Well, a really big hello to you all. It's really great to see you again. I hope you're keeping well. And today I've got a review of an item that's come out fairly recently from the Hornby range. And I've been really looking forward to this. So when I saw it in the shops, it just arrived, I thought I really got to pick this up. So without further ado, come with me. I'll give you a closer look. Well, here is the item. It's the ex-LNER CCT long wheelbase van, and it's one which I think we actually did a box opening and review on the LNER liveried version, which I got when it first came out. It's also been available in a BR maroon colour as well, but as far as I'm aware, this is the first time it has appeared in the later rail blue livery, which is perfect for the era that I particularly love to model. So when I saw this announced in the Hornby catalogue, I really knew I had to have this. Now, this is an item which I've bought myself, and as I've said before, I always believe that if it's an item that I really must have for my own personal collection, then morally I need to buy these myself from a model shop, and I wouldn't accept a review copy for that because it's a bit naughty to accept a review copy for something that you were going to buy anyway. So here it is. And on the end there, we've got a catalogue number of R6918 BR ex-LNER extra long CCT van E1251E. I'm not sure whether they're also going to produce an A suffix version of this, which will be the same livery but a different running number, but certainly I was really happy to pick this up for my collection. So let's get it out of the box and let's just see whether Hornby have managed to keep up with the amazing level of detail that we saw on the original release of this that we reviewed in LNER livery. So I've got it out of the box, and they're really doing well with this rail blue. They've got the actual hue of the blue absolutely right, and this is something actually all the manufacturers are doing this, but I just love the it's not too glossy, it's not too matte, and it just works in model form. It's something that I've said before, something that is totally matte or totally gloss in real life, often that doesn't translate into model form in the same way, and you have to kind of go for this more satin finish, and actually Hornby with this, the finish is just right. And out of the box there I can see we've got actually quite a lot of writing on the side, and this has been very sharply printed, the tampo printing, and it's something I'm looking at, and yeah, I can read that. It's not as small as some of the works plates that we've seen, but certainly it is legible, and it does seem pretty sharp in there indeed. Other bits and pieces going on, we've got this glazing at the top. I'm just looking there. It doesn't appear to be flush fitting. I'm not sure how that compares to the LNER one, but certainly the glazing that's in there is not flush to the outside, although it may well be that the glazing was inset on the full side model. It's not a deal clincher on there by any stretch of the imagination. It does still look really good. The window areas in the middle there are blanked off, and then we've got the three doors along the side, and actually the injection moulding on these is really sharp, and this blue livery really does bring out the detail, I think. So a lot of this detail that you can see here is moulded on. That keeps the cost down and actually makes it more durable for handling, but it doesn't detract. It doesn't look particularly like moulded on detail. So I'm really pleased to see stuff like that. And as I always say, this is clever design work that helps to keep the cost down, the durability up, and that can only be a good thing for the hobby if it isn't compromising the actual finish. The other area that for me does always stand out on this wagon, so these footboards, you see it's got these step footboards by each of the doors, and it's interesting that each one of the three is different, matching the prototype, because we've got the cutaways for the W-irons and axle boxes for the outside two, and they are handed as well, and then the full step on the middle one, and these are moulded. As far as I can tell, it's quite a tough plastic, but it does have some degree of spring to it. So again, they're they're firmly on there, and this is a model I've bought myself, so I don't want to test it to destruction, but they are not coming off. They're firmly attached. It's not going to be detail that mysteriously detaches itself either in the box or on your layout, so really pleased to see that. And there's some give in it, so it will stand up to a few knocks, accidental knocks. Sole bar detail is all there. We've got some very subtle rivet detail, and again, tampo printed. We've got the works plate, the builder's plate on there, which looks very sharp. We've also got the characteristic star there and some detail to mark where the vacuum brake cylinder is, and then on the end, I'm guessing that that's the actual wheelbase of the wagon, and it might have some things like length or minimum radius. It's actually really difficult for me to see that, but I've got every faith that under very close magnification that's going to show up just fine. The underside is really nice actually. It is quite a long wheelbase wagon, so you can see the wheels do have quite a bit of sideways play, and that should hopefully mean that it will follow the track a lot better. But interestingly enough, it does have these fixed brake blocks. They do line up with the treads on the wheels, but there is some degree of give, so you could actually take these wheels out, and I guess there's some room that you could ease them out to EM or even P4 if that's the way you want to go. So there is space in there to do that, I guess, without having to remove any of the detail. The couplings are attached in NEM pockets on these raised moulded blocks at either end. There's no self-centering device on there as we've seen on some of the coaches, but I've found that these actually do seem to run reasonably well. They're a little bit less forgiving on very, very tight curves, but it's always going to be the way with some of these long wheelbase wagons, and they don't perform any worse than, say, OBA, OCA, or any of the long wheelbase vans that are available from some of the other manufacturers. So actually running qualities are not compromised by that. We've got a full representation of the brake rigging as well, and this is moulded in a very, very springy plastic, so again it's not going to crack, snap, break, flake off. We've got a really nicely detailed vacuum cylinder, and all of the other push rods and other handbrake detail are all on there. That is really nice. Going to the other side again, we've got pretty much a mirror image of the other side. It's all looking good on there, and it really does look nice, and we can see air through the W irons. I'm not sure whether these are metal or plastic, but they actually come across like they could be metal, and that's really all you want. That's all you can say, is if they look and feel like they're metal, even if they're plastic, that does show they're really good quality. Buffers on the end are not sprung, but again, it's not really a big deal for people like me, and actually for most modelers. The vacuum tubes are on there, the vacuum pipes rather. They're all on there, they're factory applied. We don't have any extra detail to add to this, but it's all already on there. The slimline tension lock couplings in that NEM pocket, so we can change those for KDs or anything else that you so choose. And we've also got these coupling drawbar hooks on there, so you could actually add 3-link couplings if you really, really wanted to. The actual buffers themselves, accurately modelled. These are, I think they're brass. They're very, very strong. They're well in there. Like I said, they're not sprung loaded, but you can see they've got the characteristic flat tops. And the reason for this is you can see on the end of the wagon, perfectly moulded, we've got these doors that would have been able to be opened, and you could have loaded things like, for example, motor vehicles or other such things such as that by putting them to an end-on loading dock and loading stuff in that way. And the flat top buffers just give you the clearance to do that. We've got the overhead warning flash on there, characteristic of a rail blue vehicle. Again, really sharply done, and actually this detail is really quite nice on there. We're starting to see the limitations of the mouldings just on this bit across the bottom, but it's not unduly coarse, and we've got to forgive it some things, I guess. It does still look pretty nice. The other end of the wagon, again, it's got all the same features, same both ends. So these wagons, I suppose you could have a train of them, run them up to the loading dock, and then I suppose you'd sort of drive vehicles through the train, a bit like motor rail wagons. So all of that has been accurately modelled. Roof detail, we've got some pretty nice torpedo vents on there, and also some of the other details, the rain strips. And what I particularly like is it does look like they've got the tumble home on the roof accurately modelled, and it's not just a straight arc. These are much more reminiscent of even like the Southern Railway wagons that have that slightly complicated radius on the tumble home, and it does look really, really good. Now, these wagons in this form would have run something like newspaper trains, things like that. So in the latter days of their life, very, very durable to mix in with your freight stock. But, if you go back to the earlier liveries, equally as home, I guess, being used as part of passenger trains. And actually, you can see in the detail there, it's got the XP lettering, which meant that this wagon, the suspension and the brakes were rated for running at express speeds. So overall, really pleased to see this livery appear in the Hornby range. It's great for anybody who wants to model the 1970s into the 1980s period, which is slap bang where I really do have a soft spot for that rail blue period. So really pleased to see it. Some of the moulded on detail on the ends is starting to show the limitation of the actual injection moulding, but not really in a bad way. So there's no real major detractions that I can take away from this. There's no clunkers being dropped here. So again, a good solid 9.5 out of 10 for me. I'm really pleased to add this to my collection. I hope that's been really informative to you, and don't forget, if you yourself would like to get yourself one of these, follow the link we've got in the description down below, and that will take you straight to a vendor where you can pick one of these up for yourself. But until next time, thank you very much for watching. It's been really great to have your company. Don't forget to like this video, share it too, and also subscribe to the channel. You'll be the first to know about new videos as and when they go up. But until then, you take really good care. I'll see you back here next time. Bye for now. Today's video has been brought to you in part thanks to the generous donation of my fans on Patreon. And an extra special huge thanks goes out to Anthony Kidson, Michael Churchwood, Bob Threeton, Alec Ralph, Anthony Hunt, William Wade, Wayne Johns, Offshore Allen, and oorail.co.uk. If you'd like to help support the show, head on over to patreon.com/Jennifer Kirk. Thank you. Today's video has been brought to you by my books, Bringing Home the Stars, Twinkle Little Star, and also you can get the complete comic collections of All Over the House, Books 1, Books 2, and also the wacky zany Life of Knobty Mouse. Thanks, and catch you later.